In a similar vein, when it comes to like cloud providers, so typically um, your cost of ownership is lower with something that you're running on a desktop or running on-prem. Um, it's a one-time investment versus ongoing subscription fees. So you can avoid hidden costs like data transfer fees, cloud storage, surcharges. Forrester said 35% lower total cost of ownership over 5 years for on-prem testing compared to cloud-based testing. And again, it's just down to the fact that the tech is, it's fully on your own network, your own machines, and you have more visibility, control over usage and compute resources and things like that. So you're not going to get stung with the big bill at the end of a month or at the end of a year. You can see a couple of questions popping up in the chat there. I can see one or two comments maybe just about SOAP UI and Ready API, Christian and Vitali. Good to know you've experienced the tool before. And then the others is just us sharing some interesting case studies there. The Zurich one I like in particular. It's quite interesting because it's a real world example of how Zurich implemented API testing with Ready API. So I definitely recommend taking a look at that for some kind of real world examples um, of on-prem API testing. And in a lot of cases, and this is kind of more specific to Ready API, customizable, right? It's a very customizable solution. And we'll see that now when I kind of move into the demo portion of things. Customizable in terms of environments, customizable in terms of like reusing test cases or controlling the flow of your tests. As we'll see later on as well, just by the nature of it being a desktop solution that has been around for a while, longer than a lot of like SaaS or similar SaaS tools. It's quite a broad solution. It's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. So there's functional testing, performance testing, security testing. It does quite a lot. And kind of and you'll know what I mean when you see the application if you haven't seen it before. It's a breadth of functionality that is really only possible with the type of solution that it is, as in an on-prem desktop solution. And we'll have a look in a minute at what that looks like. So it's easy to customize testing workflows that suit your needs. And another kind of related point here is, and this is feedback that I hear because I support a lot of SaaS tools, I support a lot of on-prem tools, but what can sometimes be perceived as a weakness, depending on the use case or the customer or the industry in a tool, can be a strength in other scenarios. So Ready API, like I said a few times, it's an on-prem desktop solution, and a user of Ready API is going to get prompted and asked if they want to update to the latest version, right? There'll be a pop-up menu that says, here's the latest version, here's what we've added, here's what we fixed. And you'll have the option to stay on the version you're on or upgrade to the latest version, which you typically don't get with your average SaaS, solution. And depending on the conversation, the infrequent or less frequent updates to your application might be seen as a bad thing, but in regulated industries where a key factor is the what's the word I'm looking for here, the reliability of the application or the familiarity of the application, it can actually be a strength that you're not dealing with something that's getting like 20 updates every month, and you have to be keeping track of release notes on on your browser or online to find out exactly what's changing. So Ready API in that sense can be a good choice because you can choose to work with the version of it that you're comfortable with. Don't leave it too long to upgrade. Don't stay too far behind. I'm sure any of us who's kind of working on the IT side of things, we've seen users staying on older versions of software for a little bit too long. But a couple of versions, depending on your requirements, won't do any harm.